Oh, I wanted to run some names by you.
For the show?
Yeah.
That we're already doing?
Yeah.
Just the marketing and the branding is completely out of the window.
So, okay, first one, Avengers before Doomsday.
That's good. I actually like that one.
Yeah. How about Avengers brand new Doomsday?
Topical. I get that. That's good.
Assembling Doomsday.
Don't hate that. It does sound like a really...
TikTok, it's Doomsday o'clock. I like that one.
You got to be a little more playful.
Yo. Doom, you're looking for this?
That's good.
Thank you.
That one actually works. But you gotta hit more on the
good.
hit more on the doom.
I can doom this all day.
That's good. But you have to sing it like Rogers the Musical.
Doomsday 101.
I didn't mean sing the next title. Okay.
Okay.
These are a lot. How many?
Please stand by for Doomsday.
Welcome everyone. My name is Frank Alvarez, and I'm incredibly excited to be here co-hosting the Countdown to Avengers Doomsday podcast with the incredible, the marvelous, the unparalleled Iman Vellani.
Thanks.
Miss Marvel herself. That old thing.
That old thing. I'm here today as a fan.
As you know, and as the world knows, Avengers Doomsday is coming out in a couple of months.
Just a couple.
Yeah, just the biggest movie
Super
of the year,
cash.
possibly all time. And we have been tasked with revisiting 5 movies leading up to Avengers Doomsday, not only discussing them and how culturally relevant they are, our experiences with them, but also what they're going to mean to Doomsday.
Yeah, and not just that. The Avengers Endgame is coming out again in theaters, and I'm so excited. I remember seeing it 5 times in a row and then never again, because it was such a precious event in my life that revisiting it for this podcast made me very emotional, and I don't know if
You were crying too?
Dude, I couldn't stop crying.
A dog?
And it's I'm not even playing this up at all. I was very fearful of doing this because I didn't want to taint the beautiful vision of the MCU that my 14-year-old self had. And I didn't want evidence that I had grown up, you know?
Oh, listen, you don't need to talk to me about growing up because it makes me cry on a daily basis.
Back in my day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a great segue. You have been a legitimate fan. We have been legitimate fans forever. But we're different in our, kind of MCU watching history because I think I was 14 when the first movie, 15 when the first movie came out.
Oh, geez.
And it was such a pivotal point in my history. And your whole life has known nothing but these movies.
Yeah, I was 6 when Iron Man came out. Iron Man's one of those movies where any big moment in my life, this is pre getting cast as Miss Marvel, I would just rewatch that movie to remind myself that I'm capable of feeling things.
Gotcha.
And then when Miss Marvel happened, it was first day of set, I watched Iron Man. First time I had my costume fitting, I watched Iron Man. First time I held a prop, I watched Iron Man. First time I just kept rewatching that movie because it was I couldn't believe that I was a part of this universe. Sarah Finn cast him and me?
Yeah.
No.
And I remember the day that I saw Iron Man 1. I actually had a meeting with a local government official in
Hold on.
in my town. And then
this is where the story starts.
It's a long convoluted thing, but I remember with my friends going and seeing it. I walked out of there and I was just you guys don't even know what's coming right now.
Stop it.
Should we do this recapping it we're Luis from Ant-Man?
Oh my God.
Just try to run through as fast as you can.
Please go ahead.
No, I'm
okay,
the floor is yours.
We'll tag team this.
Okay. So Project Pegasus, they're in this bunker underground and everything, and the Dr. Selvig's yo, things are a little crazy right now.
Yeah,
there's a ton of energy, and then Loki comes in and he's just I'm here, what's up?
Remember, Hawkeye. Door opens from both ways.
Yes, the Hawkeye's up there and he's hanging and he's doing his smoldering face. Give me a Hawkeye smolder. Okay, we'll work on that. But then it's oh my God, look, something's going on. Loki shows up. He looks not great.
And then he has this insane death stare, and he's all sweaty and pale, and it's somehow still sexy because it's Tom Hiddleston.
Oh, we're going that route.
Yeah, sorry. It works on me.
To each their own.
And then he introduces himself, and he's I am Loki of Asgard.
That was good.
And I've been burdened with glorious purpose.
I'll be honest with you.
That was a little raspy.
It was a little raspy, but I kind of wish I can use burdened with glorious purpose for anything in my life.
Right?
I mean, the only glorious purpose I have been given is like,
This podcast.
you know what? I love you. Thank you so much for that. That was really great. That was honestly
I saved it.
professional. But then yes. So then Fury's like, whoa, what's going on? We got to figure out like, you're taking this. Boots and ants and stuff like that are mentioned at different points in time. And then you see Stark, and he's like at his new tower, and he's like doing stuff, and he's like, whoa, this is so cool. I got you get 12%.
Wait. The title credit. He's like, Fury's like, phase 2 isn't ready, but our enemy is. And then what he says something to Maria Hill, and he's like, what happened?
You're right there. You're so close.
He said something.
As of right now, we are at war.
What do we do?
Dun, dun, dun,
Yes.
dun, dun.
Oh my God, it's so epic.
The music starts, and Stark he's like doing something underwater, and then he goes into his tower, and it's new Stark Tower, and it's like, oh my God, this is pretty cool.
And then Phil shows up.
Phil.
And then Tony's like,
I thought his name was Agent, though.
Good one.
That's a good line. You like
Good
that one, right? That's not bad.
And then Tony's like, oh, you've reached the life model decoy.
That's another little Easter egg.
Very good.
This is like,
You want to tell him about it?
I mean, first of all, I will say this. The Easter eggs that these movies are packed with have created just like basically like a new sector of jobs on the internet where people scrub and go through and find them, and then they make videos and write articles, and people like us read them and get excited for it. From there, we find out after, by the way, Loki takes Dr. Selvig, takes Hawkeye. They're under the control of, we haven't even talked about it,
The Scepter.
The Scepter. Something else that we didn't talk about, which does play into this part of the movie, is also we have a scene of who was later referred to as the Other, talking to an unknown entity, saying they got the Chitauri, and Loki's coming here. He needs iridium in order to open a portal, which is going to bring the Chitauri to New York.
Yes, and then we get that awesome Germany scene.
We do get an awesome Germany scene. For anyone, I don't like touching my eyes. I could do it,
Oh my
but I'm
God,
not.
I think that's like honestly, out of everything we've seen in the MCU, Loki stabbing that poor man with the eyeball thing is so gruesome.
It is. And then I will say this, though. Very colorful movie. Because as soon as Tony jumps down and he's got that just star-spangled outfit on, I was just like, that looks nice. Steve jumping down, kind of intercepting, the first time we get them together.
Also, like, what an entrance. Like, already Loki having this incredible moment with the old man in Germany, and he's like, humans crave subjugation. It is like your natural state or whatever. And then he's like, at the end, you will always kneel. And then the guy's like,
yeah, the old
men
German
like
dude
you.
stood up and he was just like, not me. But he said it,
that
obviously.
are always men like you. That was more British.
I don't know who that was.
Stop it. And then Steve comes, and then Tony comes with like the most epic music. Oh, it's just, it's chef's kiss.
Mr. Stark.
Captain?
That's pretty much Act 1, and I remember watching it and just being like, I'm good if this movie stops now. Like, it already felt fulfilling for me as a fan to watch it. Obviously, it continued.
Like, just seeing like Thor and Tony's custody battle over Loki in the forest is like so magical. You see them like, because it's like the stepping stones to how Tony's armor also evolves, like the way he uses Thor's lightning later. I love it. I love every bit of it. And then you also get like a little cameo from Odin's ravens if you look closely.
Yeah, Hugin and Munin?
Yes!
Is that it?
He
I'm
did
not
it.
bad. I'm up to date on my Norse mythology.
Is it Hugin or Hugin?
Yeah, well, the pronunciation, I could spell it for you. I definitely don't know if I can pronounce
Very
it
good.
correctly.
That's good enough.
But from there, we go into Act 2, and basically, as the Avengers are now kind of together, they've captured Loki. I love the line where Tony says, like, "Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?" It's just like, again, it's the Tony that we had come to know and love.
Dude, this movie quips at like a very peak level. It's insane.
It's going like 1,000 miles per hour. And it really set the groundwork for, the humor that these movies are going to carry. I think there have been people that have said like, at a certain point, but it still works.
But I think also like in this movie, it's so perfectly balanced as all things should be. And like you see this?
You see this? This is who I'm working with here, guys.
I can't stop myself. But it really is. Like, you have like these really emotional beats that are never undercut with the comedy either. And Tony, like every single line that he is saying is so funny. That man is playing Galaga. Like, that's like my vocal stim every day.
I feel like it also worked too because the movie also looked like what we had previously gotten. And it sounded like what we had previously gotten. Like, you get the I wouldn't say machismo, but like these like shots of Steve, and he just like looks like regal and kind of, and then like you get like the weird angles that the Thor movie had, where they were like sideways at points, the Dutch angles as they call them.
Yes, they do.
But it feels, it's new but familiar. So like it worked together from the start, and at every point during the ride, like I never felt like we're in a lull. It always felt like things were just moving perfectly.
Yeah, testament to the filmmakers who like literally went above and beyond to somehow make this movie, yes, fun and entertaining, but also memorable and emotional and empowering. Like, I came out wanting to be a superhero, and I think that's like come on. Oh, I hear myself.
Doug.
Sorry.
You is.
Yes.
You is what you is. On the helicarrier with Loki, kind of trapped.
Yes,
and,
but still the only guy who wants to be there.
Slowly weaving his way through the team and kind of like using the scepter's powers to almost control them.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know about you guys, when they're in that room there, and he goes, big man in a suit of armor, take that off. What are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
I love that because I was none of those things and still am not. But it just, again, like, it was just like, yeah, of course that's what Tony's response is going to be.
But Steve's response after when Tony also comes back at him is like, everything special about you came out of a bottle. Like, the way he says bottle has such a bite to it.
It was charged. Oh. It felt a little
and
like...
of course they prove each other wrong, but I love the way they set up their relationship here, because it's like, it's so rewarding, especially when they get torn apart again in Civil War, and then the first time they meet after that long is Avengers Endgame, and it's gutting.
So then, the Avengers gather on the ship as Loki is sewing the division through the scepter. Natasha's grilling Loki. You have Steve and Tony going back and forth while Bruce is there.
Yes.
Thor's just laughing at all of them, calling them tiny creatures. Or what was the exact word that he used?
Petty.
Petty. And then he was like, "You're tiny."
Yeah.
But he's just having a good time.
It's just this pressure cooker of Dutch angles.
I love how he's there too, and he's just like, definitely like,
Thor's arc, like, which will, again, we're jumping around so much, but I'm so excited. But Thor comes in as like so arrogant and like so above humanity, and then what he says to Fury after Coulson dies is how like, yeah, we come in here like thinking we're better than everyone, battling like Bill Schneip, and it's so cool to see how like Thor learns from the humans as well and like empathizes with them. I think, okay, sorry, continue.
I think a big part of this movie that we forget is the whole learning of it all. It's like they have to learn from each other, because if they think, and when you have a room of these amount of people with egos, like they each have their own ego, like regardless, like even though Steve is like the like moral good, still has an ego in the way he goes about it, but like them having to learn to work together immediately happens because Hawkeye comes in, triggers an explosion, the helicarrier is under attack, so boom, they're thrust into it.
Yeah, and that is the exact thing that separates our heroes from Loki, is Loki is also someone with a massive ego, and Tony, also an egomaniac, would know. But the fact that the Avengers come together despite their differences and leave their egos behind to defeat Loki, that's what separates him. And I think like, dude, Loki's entire arc in this, like, he's so theatrical as a villain. It's so entertaining to watch, but then underneath it all, he's like this, like, broken, forgotten, adopted kid.
Yeah.
And it makes me so sad in his eyes, man.
Didn't he show up, like, after this movie at Comic-Con and just told everyone to kneel? And
yeah.
Like...
and we were like, oh, yes, I will, actually.
Yes, so the explosion, the helicarrier is under attack. They are going through, trying to save it. You have Steve and Tony trying to save one of the rotors. What is that right there?
The turbine,
engine. Yeah, get one of those. You know, Natasha is on the bottom of the helicarrier and triggers our first look at the new Hulk.
Oh, dude, that scene. It's like that final like close up on Banner's Hulk eyes before he fully turns. It's so like sad, and I just want to hug him.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to hug everybody in this movie.
I would advise against hugging the Hulk.
I think it would work. Hug needs Hulks.
Yeah.
Hulks needs Hulks.
Hulks need hugs.
Hulks need hugs.
Hugs for Hulk. If you take anything away from this show, hashtag hugs for Hulk.
Hugs for Hulk.
I get my Hulk hugs from my wife, and I love it every day. Have you met Mr. Ruffalo?
No, but he tweeted at me once.
What the? Oh. I guess who's tweeted at me? Nobody. That first look that we get, it's like shrouded in mystery at first, where it's like the lighting is dim and like you just basically see this scale when Natasha's running through that like bridge. You just see the scale of this massive thing running behind her. And it works well because that is like the Hulk is a hulking beast, you know, green hulking beast. But then that comes to an end when Thor comes down. We get our first Thor and...
Oh my god, and the way like Thor whips Mjolnir at Hulk.
I love the moment. I love the
so
moment
good.
where Mjolnir's on the ground and Hulk tries to pick it up.
Yeah.
And then like you see
And then
like...
his toes are like digging into the
Yeah.
ground. Oh, genius.
But I think the point of this whole part is that Loki is just absolutely torn in this... They're not even a team yet. He's just torn these people to shreds, and seemingly did it easily. Like it didn't take much work on his end.
Dude, he was Zemo before Zemo.
No, you know, you're a professional over here, dog. From there, the team is in shambles. Why?
Yeah.
Because
Hawkeye comes back onto the ship, and then he has that like crazy arrow that hacks the computers, turns off the other engine. Okay, Havoc, Black Widow, and Hawkeye fight. He gets hit in the head. Then Loki's spell is worn off. But then my boy, Coulson.
These were in Phil Coulson's jacket. Guess he never did get you to sign them.
Speaking of,
Oh dear.
if you don't mind.
Oh dear.
If you don't mind, I got some
Who
things here
gave
that
you
you can
these?
sign. There's no blood on these.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, are you gonna kill me now?
Free of blood.
We got a couple more episodes to do, man.
Yeah, you know what? Well, but if you could sign these at one point, because that's how we were reintroduced to right after to Phil Coulson in this movie. He is like.
It's a vintage set. Took me a couple of years to collect them all. Near mint.
Look at that.
Guys, she's a superhero.
He's like fanning out.
Over myself.
Yeah, just as Phil was over Captain America. They say that you can't make an omelet unless you crack a couple eggs. You can't make an Avengers unless you smear Phil Coulson's blood on some cards.
Couple Clark Greggs.
A couple Clark Greggs. You know, you got to smear some Clark Gregg blood.
Very good.
You know, all
Very
over the
good.
cards. But that proves to be, you know, what they need to bring them together. To just be like, you know, we need to work together. They're also all over the place.
Yeah, Thor is like in some field. And I love that moment where he's like reaching to grab Mjolnir, but he doesn't because he's like kind of questioning his own worthiness before he finally picks it up. And this is like something that like is threaded throughout each one of Thor's arcs is like, is he worthy? Like, and he still is clearly suffering from some form of imposter syndrome, like being born into a role knowing that he's supposed to be king of Asgard and like worthy from the start.
Well, I think what's cool too is that like the idea of worthy changes for him consistently.
Yeah.
You know, like that first Thor movie, worthy was like for being the ruler of Asgard. And then in this movie, it really didn't have to do with Asgard. It just meant worthy in the sense of like putting your own idiot thoughts aside and being able to work with these people because like you might not be right all the time. And then from here on out into other movies, like it also changes. And where we are right now before Doomsday is vastly different from what worthiness means for Thor than it was back in...
I mean, I hope they do something similar to the comics because in the Time Runs Out comics, Thor is unworthy for the first time. But he still wants to like use Mjolnir, so he changes it. So he's like, whosoever be unworthy shall possess the power of Thor.
Doesn't he go by Odinson in that?
Yeah.
See, I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
Good.
I'm not bad.
Anyway, Coulson's dead. Thor's like roaming on a field. Banner crashes into my favorite guy ever. What's
guy
his
that just
name? Harry
finds
Dean
him-
Stanton.
Yeah, the guy that just finds him naked.
Yeah. Son, you've got a condition.
Yeah. The movie, it doesn't feel its length. It moves at a really good pace.
Yeah.
And even when it's quieter moments, all of those quieter moments are giving us what we've liked, which is just more character building for all of us.
Yeah.
And we immediately go into Tony and Loki at Stark Tower.
Yeah.
And
It's like the two also like strongest performances consistently throughout the MCU, like in one room together. Tony's like hiding his hands behind his back so as to not like show
show the
him
band.
That, yep. It's so good, and like both of them have so much charisma. You're like, I don't know who to root for. Like it should be Tony, but again, some of us have a crush on Tom Hiddleston, and it's.
Please don't mistake me.
We
all have a crush on Tom Hiddleston.
Can I say it? Like Tom Hiddleston's hair flips are.
You met him?
Yeah.
You met the Hiddles?
I met the Hiddles.
Is he a good dude?
He's a great dude, but I told him like there's a couple scenes in the Marvels where I get to like do a hero landing, and every time I just like do a big Loki hair flip,
Guy had
and our
good
stunt
flow.
coordinator's like, you got to stop. We got to trademark that from Loki. Like it's.
He's got good flow. I had long hair for years. I used to have hair that came down to, like past my
Okay, so
shoulder.
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
If you think I wasn't flipping my hair like Tom Hiddleston, you don't know me, okay? I was absolutely flipping it. I'm very passionate about my
Okay, so we're getting you a wig and a cape for the next episode.
I mean, all I'm going to say is that if there was a way to dress me up like Tom Hiddleston, I'm not going to say no to it.
Guys, this is a serious podcast. I promise.
But yes, so we immediately go into the banter between Loki and Iron Man.
Where he's like, I have a Hulk. We have a Hulk.
I just love the arrogance where he's just like, not going to work. You know, like,
Yeah.
there's like, you're getting the good version of that ego and that arrogance where when they're having this kind of back and forth real quick.
And that is the thing that separates Tony from every other Avengers villain, because they're all like somehow such a reflection of who he is.
Yeah.
With Loki being a reflection of his ego and his pride, and then like Ultron, obviously, very obvious. But I love it. Like Tony is always so like placed with such perfect villains who like let him make those growths. Like Tony's growth, I think, is the one that you can like really track like a staircase. You see how each character development leads into the next.
Yeah.
And his suits being like one of the most obvious, like
And
going from Mark 7 to Mark 42.
Yeah, it also just like, it makes us as fans feel like we're not being treated like dummies.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense. Like all of the decisions are like, yeah, of course. Like not only like you might not agree with it, but like you definitely see why Tony would think that way or why any of the characters would think that way. And as a fan, that helps me get bought in a lot quicker and a lot more in depth when it's just like, this makes sense and I feel like it is logically lining up with who I am, or at least what I think would be the best route of going through like decision making.
Exactly. He turns every mistake into his advantage.
Stark, get a lot of stray sniffing your tail.
Just trying to keep him off the streets.
Well, they can't bank worth a damn.
The Battle of New York is like been referenced in almost every single project. Like it's such a big part of, my God, like Spider-Man Homecoming. We've referenced it in Miss Marvel and Hawkeye. Like it's where Kate Bishop sees, Hawkeye do his
Falling
thing for the
from the
first
thing, yeah.
time. It's so cool how this has become like kind of the nexus event of the entire MCU. And it's like no wonder they keep revisiting it so many times because it's perfect.
It really is. I mean, watching it just like, I was like this. I was like, oh my God. Like I can't, like there's so much going on. And it's so easily traced too. Like it's not like you're sitting there and you're just like, wait, where did that come from? What happened over there? Like it all makes sense. And it was so cool as someone that was born and raised in New York. Like I also had a connection to it that way, where I was watching and I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly where they're fighting. They're right over here by Park Avenue and stuff like that. So it was so cool to watch. And it was the first time, if I'm not mistaken, we got like a big alien army like that in any MCU project.
Yeah.
Right?
Basically, I mean, I think there's a couple Thor flashbacks, but yeah.
You know what I mean?
When we
like,
see the
we're
Leviathan come down the worm, oh my God. And then all of their faces, like Cap, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, their like faces just drop in this like most gutting disbelief.
Yeah.
I just, you're with it. You're like, I don't believe they're going to be able to win.
Well, it's funny for Cap too, because like this is like an 80-something-year-old man at this point. Yeah. And like imagine showing one of your grandparents just like a hole in the sky with like aliens coming out of it.
Dude.
They would not like that's exactly what is happening here. Is like they're all seeing this threat, and it's kind of changing the DNA of what they do. I mean, this battle in particular, it literally, not figuratively, like it literally creates the storylines for every Marvel movie after this. Not every Marvel movie, but every Avengers movie, definitely.
Yeah.
You know? And there's so much going on. You got Thor confronting Loki, then boom, he gets stabbed. And then, you know, everyone is like, it looks like they're at their worst. They're doing the little thing, and then here comes Hulk. Well, Bruce at this point in time.
On the little moped.
Yeah.
That was like supposedly given by Harry Dean Stanton, but we never saw that. I think it was
like a deleted scene or something like that. And he was like, "Here, take my moped to get to New York City."
But no, I love that scene so much, and like Hulk finally revealing his secret.
Dr. Banner, now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
When I saw that, because so much of this movie is quotable. That might be the one line.
That's
like,
your one line?
I mean, but like, it's just like, it's so, like, you're not expecting it. I really didn't, like, I knew the Hulk was coming back. All the promotional material had shown him, you know, doing the team-up shot and everything like that.
Oh, beautiful.
It was so unexpected at how it was going to get there, because every other version of the Hulk that we had seen, like, it's like, it's a curse. It's a burden.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a prison. So, like, to see the, like, oh, I am in control of this thing now. Didn't expect it, loved it, and then he hits the Leviathan straight in the face, and it just felt so like as a kid.
The Avengers theme starts growing.
As a kid, I played with a lot of action figures, and you know, you sit there and you do this, and then he flies in, and then bing, 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 and like watching it at the time as a 19 or 20-year-old kid at the time. I'm like, this is what I remember. This is what you choreographed. This is what I did. The Battle of New York is just so large in scale. We get the big team-up shot. You know, the spinning camera, the swell of the music.
I don't even care how posed they look.
Give me a
No.
Give me a cat pose right there. Give me a just like. He's not making that face.
He is.
No.
He's just better at it.
He is. He's pretty good at it. They've got the smolder down. I'll tell you that. Just so much going on. Ultimately, what ends up happening is Tony has to fall on the grenade, as Cap said.
If Cap was always worthy, then he always had this mindset, because it is. I get it. Yes. They didn't understand the technology, and that the mothership would actually kill all the rest of the Chitauri on the ground. I get it. At the same time, my man's a bit of a hypocrite.
Yeah, I mean, none of them are perfect. You know, like who's perfect?
You know, the genetically modified super soldier, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. But there's a little green in the blue of his eyes. You like that, right?
Very good. Very good. Okay, enough. So then, Tony calls Pepper. The call fails. It's crazy. Every time he's in space, he calls Pepper.
Yeah.
Anyway, he finally makes it back through the wormhole just in the nick of time. All of the Avengers who like basically just killed him are really relieved. I'm not salty about it.
They didn't kill
They
him.
would have if they were like 2 seconds early.
I mean, if anything, Hulk catches him, and it's just like
he can't catch him in like space.
It was nice. It was
it was nice.
Moment.
Hulk yells. Tony wakes up and he's hungry. What does he want?
He gets a shawarma.
He wants shawarma.
But as someone that grew up there, street meat at the end of a crazy day / night is the best thing that you could possibly have.
I agree. I like it. It like humanizes the Avengers in such a sweet way. Like, yeah, they eat. They need calories just like us.
And I will say this, I love the shawarma scene, and when I say street meat, I mean from the cart. I mean from the carts on the corner. So like if they went to a cart on the corner and they were like doing that.
I think they destroyed every cart on the
everything was
corner.
destroyed, absolutely.
There's no corners.
I love that too, because like every post-credit scene we had up until then was very like, all right, what's next? What's next? We definitely got a vision of what was next. But then we also had like, it's like one for them, one for us. Like, here's the big stinger that shows us, challenging them is to court death. And we get our first look at the Mad Titan himself.
It's so perfect. And like, obviously death is literally the entire reason the Infinity Gauntlet comics happen.
And we also got little hints too of what was to come, like in the at the end of the movie when they're doing the like running through like news things where we get the Stan Lee cameo. There's one character in there, I forget his name because I know he is from the comics, but he talks about the ramifications of their actions. And like it's like, oh, we see it there.
And it's like, you don't even know if these things were planned that well in advance, but the fact that they ran with it, the fact that they were paying attention to their own films and like knowing like what has been said, what hasn't been said, what can we use? Like they were just building on top of this like incredible sandcastle. It's like so rewarding to like figure this out with the filmmakers too. And the fact that they even filmed that shawarma scene at all is like a testament to how much these people care.
I'm gonna ask you a couple quick rapid questions.
Rapid questions.
Rapid fire
I don't
questions
think
here.
while on my feet. Hit me.
Who is your MVA, we'll call it, most valuable Avenger in this movie?
Oh my God, Iron Man.
Really?
Oh my God, I'd kill myself for Iron Man.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Sorry. He did that first.
Honestly, I was gonna say Bruce. I felt like this was the first introduction to the new version of the Hulk, and they absolutely hit the ground
Yeah, but you
running.
know what? Who inspired him? Tony.
Yeah.
When they're talking behind the screen,
Yeah.
and Tony's like, well, yeah, what do you think the big guy saved you for?
Listen, I can have my answers. You can have your answers.
And what if I said all of your answers are incorrect because they should all be Tony?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Cool. Next one?
So, next question. What would you say is your personal most quotable line from the movie?
He's adopted. That one's like one of my favorites. He killed 80 people in 2 days. Well, he's adopted. What would you say your favorite line is?
Man, I mean, it's hard to beat the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist. I can't even say it properly. I think that's
Genius
probably
billionaire playboy philanthropist. That's how it's done.
But just like the quick, like it was just like he had that locked and loaded.
I know. He's looked at himself in the mirror and said that.
It's also cool because like I don't remember if it was in this movie or another one, but like at one point he says like, "Is this the guy that my dad wouldn't shut up about?" Like,
yeah,
there's
in this
almost
one.
like a daddy issues thing that comes into it too.
100%. Tony has this like very deep resentment towards Captain America. He's
Wouldn't
like,
you?
he had a relationship to Howard that Tony probably never did. He didn't even know his father was one of the founding members of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. So that's why the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist, like he had that, he practiced that in the mirror.
Yep.
And he had it ready. Like, those like, they say like you're on like a long drive and you're just thinking about like an argument and you're winning in your head. And he thought about the argument with Cap and he's just like, wait, or he's like flying. He's like, wait until I say this. I know we're running out of time here. We have to talk about what this can mean for Avengers Doomsday. What do you feel they can take from this movie that we might see, whether it be called back or like any plot lines, not even just plot lines, but like thematically, what we might get a hint of in Avengers Doomsday?
Yeah, I strongly believe Loki is going to, he's got a stories now.
Yes, he is.
What an arc. Like, this man has been killed and redeemed more times than I can count. And, as long as Tom Hiddleston's playing Loki, I'm always going to be for it. So I think Loki's arc is going to be really interesting in Doomsday. I have no idea what they're going to be doing or dooming. That was bad.
That was that, yeah. Well,
Don't move on. What do you think is going to happen?
I think, like I looked at each of the movies that we're going to be talking about and I took kind of like one word from them. No surprise, the one from this one is teamwork. I feel like Avengers Doomsday is not only, because we are in a pretty fractured state. Like we have, from what we've seen from promotional material, we have the Fantastic Four, we have the new Avengers, we have pieces of the old Avengers, and we have, who knows how much the X-Men will be involved, but like, I think that we are going to see them trying to scramble to put together a team. The only difference is it was previously done when Loki was, the villain.
Yeah.
And they had like, they had to scramble, but now when you have someone as formidable, from what we've seen in the comics, as Doctor Doom, I don't know if they're going to have to scramble a lot quicker. I don't know if they're going to have as much leeway or ability to make mistakes because from what we can tell and what we know of the character through his comics history, Doctor Doom takes advantage of mistakes.
Dude, Doctor Doom is like, Galactus and Doctor Doom are my favorite Marvel villains of all time.
Okay.
Yes, and so to see them like being portrayed live action on this scale is like, it gives me chills every time, like that I've stuck around for long enough and I've invested this much of my time to actually see the payout. But yeah, I completely agree with you. I think because like Avengers was so much smaller scale, you know, you have like 6 heroes who have to come together. Doomsday is probably gonna be like 6 teams that have to come together.
I know you brought up some of your favorite Marvel villains. One of my favorites is Ultron. And from here,
very good segue.
The next episode, I've done this a couple times.
Sorry, I'm new.
Well, from here, we're going to be talking Avengers Age of Ultron. Very excited for that movie. Haven't revisited it in a while, so getting to do it for the show, I feel like I have a lot to talk about.
This is exactly what I love about the Marvel fandom, that like, I can go up to any person in the world who has seen these movies and just gush over what we love and talk about like what moved us and like what we're excited to see. Like the fact that these movies can do that and give this level of community, like it is on a scale of religion, honestly.
And it's honestly impressive because I think that, you know, a lot of this stuff does lend itself to discourse, but like the fact that it always comes back to what these movies make us feel is like, that's the point and the part that I always talk. Because I'm in a new stage of my life where I'm watching these movies with my son right now.
Yeah.
So like, I'm seeing it from a different perspective. And like, I was the 14-year-old or 15-year-old that saw Iron Man when it came out. And I was the 34-year-old that's going to be seeing, you know, Avengers Doomsday when it comes out. And now I get to experience it and share how it made me feel with my child. And I'm sure people watching this have children of their own or family members or friends or whomever.
Yeah, and I think that's like part of the reason why I love the MCU so much is like, it really gave me a place to like explore this part of myself that I don't think was like necessarily sheltered. I just didn't have anywhere to like exert this level of energy and excitement into something. And for it to be like, you know, Marvel was kind of known to be more of a boys' club, but all I knew was this. Like, these heroes, like, I saw myself represented in Iron Man, in Thor, in Loki. Like, the fact that they were able to make it so personal to even, like, a brown girl in Markham, Ontario is just the magic of these films.
At the core of all this is that these movies make us feel something, especially with Avengers 2012, that we hadn't felt before.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really excited to see where it goes from there.
Thank you so much for listening, and I'm just so glad that we get to do this. I can't believe this is a job.
I mean, if 14-year-old me could see me now, he would be very, very happy. Listen, this was a lot of fun. If you guys haven't rewatched Avengers 2012 in a while, go rewatch it.
Yeah, this is your sign.
And next week, like we said, we have Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yes.
I am very excited to talk about it. I have a lot to say. I imagine you have a lot to say.
Dude, I'll save it. Okay, we're gonna call it quits on this one now. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, and we hope you tune back in next week.
Yeah, see you then.
Marvel Studios The Avengers is streaming on Disney+.
Do you want me to sign this, by the way?
Absolutely, please.
Will do.
Oh, you need a pen? That's a pencil.
Damn it.
Marvel's Avengers is now streaming on Disney+.